Hi, I'm Brant at Crocker Farm, and I wanted to talk today about Huntingdon County, Pennsylvania stoneware, in particular an important jar that we're going to be selling on July 21st, 2012. One of the things that's pretty interesting about American stoneware is that you're able to attribute pieces to specific regions or styles, even if pieces aren't signed, because certain regions have their very own styles. And this is an example where you have Huntingdon County, which is kind of between Harrisburg and Altoona, having a distinct style that's very different even from pottery that was made pretty nearby. Harrisburg, for instance, was making stoneware that was pretty close to the stuff you see out of New York State and elsewhere in New England during the time period. These pieces, on the other hand, are more like city stoneware from Baltimore and Philadelphia, but made out in the country, and you can sort of see that with the quality of the clay that's being used. One of the reasons why this looks so much like Baltimore stoneware, if you're familiar at all with pottery from that town, is that Henry Glazier, the man who made this jar, was trained there to make stoneware. At least it's very apparent that that was the case. He started potting at his father's shop. His father's name was John Glazier, and it's pretty clear that his father was making earthenware, but in 1831 there's a marriage record in Baltimore that shows that Henry Glazier was present in that city at the time, and it seems like right around that time period, late 1820s, 1830s, he was down there learning how to make stoneware. And it's not surprising that his stoneware bears designs that are very similar to Baltimore designs from the time period. The Parr family, for instance, sort of originated this floral design you see on this piece. This is somewhat different than what you see on Parr's work, but you can see the influence here. Now, this jar is signed in script, Henry Glazier, 1852. And this is, to my knowledge, the only known piece of Henry Glazier's stoneware that is signed in this manner. And Glazier's sort of revered by collectors from that area as the most famous potter from that area. And to see a piece that he took the time to hand sign, to see his hand written in cobalt on this jar is pretty significant. Most of his pieces are stamped with a couple of different maker's marks. One thing Glazier did that you don't see on these pieces is he also liked to decorate using almost like a purple manganese slip, which is different than the cobalt. And he would sometimes do that on the same piece he was using cobalt on. You don't see that on a lot of American stoneware. You see it on very few pieces. G.N. Fulton down in Virginia is one example I can think of that did that. This piece is signed by Glazier. As I said, it's a very important example of his work. This is a picture that's not signed by Glazier, but the design is definitely his hand, or at least the design that he favored at his shop. And this central floral design, these floral sprigs that are dotted, even these little leaves that are very typical of Baltimore stoneware, as is this design, are hallmarks of Glazier's work. What's interesting is these are Baltimore designs, but you see them on a clay body that is clearly dug out of Huntingdon County. It's not proper, refined city clay that was being used at the time. This piece is another example of Huntingdon County stoneware, and while it may have been made at Glazier's shop, it also very well could have been made at Elisha Hissong's pottery in Cassville, PA, which is about 15 miles south of Huntingdon, somewhere in there. Hissong's work is very rare, particularly his signed work. This piece really does resemble his known pieces. This design does, at least. The piece in general does, but talking about the design in particular, this, as I said, is derived out of Baltimore designs, and it also resembles designs you see in Glazier's shop. So yeah, this was just an interesting opportunity to talk about what I think is a pretty interesting group of American stoneware, kind of in a pocket there in Pennsylvania, where potters were trying to make stuff like they made in the big cities. Has a little bit of a country look, but it has its own style, and collectors really like it.